We are in there. So we can just wait for a few followers to join right now. But I saw how people is excited that y'all open.
Pray for us.
Yes. Did you share it as a watch party?
I did.
Okay. So we can get started, girl.
Okay. Yay.
I'm excited about this. I'm glad that I end up transitioning into this because everything that you have going on is like so freaking amazing.
Oh man, thank you.
Yes, and them pictures are bomb.
Thank you. I
They
have the bomb photographer. His name is Antoine Stevenson. He's the best. He captured my personality so well. And it was just amazing once we got them back and I saw them and I was like, these are beautiful. Who is that?
they are, and I was loving that skirt that you got on, girl.
Everybody always asks me, where did you get that skirt? I'm like, man, we pulled stuff from everywhere. My girlfriends, I was pulling stuff out their closets, just trying to get all of my wardrobe and shoes and jewelry. All of my friends, they was just like, okay, what you need? What color? What's this? What's it? You would have thought it was like a professional photo shoot because I had thousands of shoes, jewelry, all of it. It was fun. We had so much fun.
That's good. That's good. You have a support system like that to get you together.
Yes. Yes.
That is so important. That's my sister. She be like, you got to put this on. This go with this go with that, and she just be all over the place. But
Yes.
I don't move in the heels though. But I'll stand there and take a picture.
Yes, my husband went to school for fashion design. So
Okay.
with him and like just girlfriends and stuff, between all of them, I'd be like, what am I supposed to wear? I asked him tonight, I was like, can you pick out something for me to wear on the live tonight? He had like 4 things laid out. I was like, okay.
Aww.
So yeah, it's great to have a support system.
That is amazing. Like seriously, because it's so rare to even somebody to have a support system like that.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. So what was it like you growing up?
Well, I was born in Peoria, Illinois, but
Hmm.
we moved here to Atlanta, Georgia. That's where I currently live when I was 5. And so I'm technically considered a Georgia peach because I've been here long enough.
Yeah.
But I'm the oldest of 4. So growing up for me was filled with a lot of responsibility. I did everything when it came to my parents, helping out my siblings, so I felt like that was my job. My job was to take care of everybody, my family, my friends. I walked in that role for so long. And then my freshman year of high school, my dad had a catastrophic accident and he fell at his job and he's paralyzed from the waist down.
Wow.
And so when that happened, my family had to move from the school district that I was in. All the friends that I had met and grew up with just from middle school, we had to move to a different school district. So that was really rough for me. Just trying to adjust to a new area.
Right.
My coping mechanism was always writing. I always loved to write. That was just something that I loved to do, whether it was poetry or short stories or whatever. My favorite thing to do was write. But once that happened with my dad, it seemed like writing for me was just my escape. It was my place to share how I was feeling, what was on my mind, the things that I felt like I couldn't talk to other people about.
Right.
So my life kind of really changed my freshman year because writing was that was it for me. That was how I just got all of my feelings and my emotions out. So I started writing plays.
Wow.
And my senior year of high school, the gospel choir that I was over, they did my very first play. And we had such a huge response. I mean, we wrote the music. At the time, the keyboardist and I wrote the music, which I ended up marrying him, which is my husband.
Okay, hubby.
But we wrote the music, I wrote the play. We just had such a great time in sharing. I was talking about how you can make it through different situations. You have God in your life. And that was like the beginning for me. It was like after that, I felt like playwriting just became it. It was my world. It was my opportunity to address situations and different topics that I personally was going through. So I would write about depression. I would write about issues with your parents. I was, those were my outlets in writing. And so I just wrote, I wrote several plays after that, after high school. And I just kept writing. That was like it for me. What's so funny is I never thought of myself as an author, like never. I thought I could playwright and that just be it. Like that was my go-to, I had.
So what led you to the point to say, okay, I am an author?
It's weird because I was going through a very, very dark place in my life. And I had went to go visit my aunt. This was like in 2018. Okay. I had to go visit my aunt in Nashville, and I was at the lowest of lowest. Back up a little bit, in 2012, I was diagnosed with MS. MS is multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
At the same time, a few months before that, I found out I was pregnant with my son.
Wow.
So life for me, it was like a catch-22 because I felt like God had given me this son. And for many years, my husband and I had tried to get pregnant. And we could not get pregnant, couldn't figure out what was going on, and finally found out I had endometriosis. And that same year, June of 2011, they had removed my fallopian tubes. They wanted to take both. I was like, just take the lesser of two evils. They were like, look, at this juncture, you need to consider IVF because you are not going to be able to conceive on your own. Like, there was like, it's just not going to happen. And I was devastated.
Yeah. What was your mindset of how you coping with that? Just hearing that, don't no woman wants to hear that.
Yeah, I was depressed. I felt like as a woman that I was less than because, when you look in society, you see when you get married, you have kids and you have a dog and you have the house with a picket fence.
Right.
That's what marriage is, And even in my family, nobody had ever had issues with getting pregnant. So my mom had kids, my sisters had, my sister was getting ready to get married, and, nobody else in my family had issues. So for me, I just felt like, okay, God, what is the point of this?
Right. You thinking something is wrong with you.
Yes.
And that's the mindset. Sometimes when we in positions like that, all we have is questions.
Yes.
We're questioning God. We questioning what did we do wrong in our lives to not be at that point and everything. And it just makes us go in total left field.
Yes. And the big thing for me was when I got married, I was a virgin. I saved myself for marriage. So I felt like God owed me.
Wow.
I'm like, I've done what you have asked me to do. I've done it the right way. And here it is. There were people that I knew that weren't married, that weren't virgins when they got married. They was just having a lot of kids. Some of them weren't taking care of their kids, and I'm like, God, what's up? Like,
so what made you want to save yourself into marriage?
Well, I grew up in a Christian home.
Okay.
And my parents are ministers. They're ministers till this day. And so it was instilled in our household, save yourself for marriage. Now, my mother had me out of marriage. She had me out of wedlock. Okay. And so her thing was, don't go the route I went. save yourself. It's more beautiful when you just are with one person, and she goes down of all the benefits. And then with my own personal relationship with God that
Right.
I built over time, I wanted to honor God with my body. I wanted to wait for that person that he had sent to me as my spouse. So
Right.
I was like, I'm gonna wait. That doesn't mean that I didn't have temptation or anything like that, but I had just made up in my mind that I would wait until I got married.
So
So
may I ask, how old were you when you got
I
married?
was 25, 26 when I got married.
Wow. I applaud you.
Times wasn't there because I was so insecure about me as
Mhm.
a woman, who I was growing into. I felt like I had friends that were more beautiful than I was, so in my mind, ain't nobody gonna step to me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really, my focus was in so many other areas, and I was so busy doing other things. I was busy in church, my responsibilities there. So that consumed a lot of my time. And because I felt like nobody wanted me, in my mind, I was like, ain't nobody checking for me.
Right. Just like whatever. I'm gonna just do me.
I'm gonna do me because, and I had my timeline of when I feel like I want to get married, all these different things. But I was like, who wants me? Because I was so insecure just in myself. So it was nothing. I won't say it wasn't anything. It's as I got older and I met my husband as we got older, of course, the temptation was more there because we really loved each other and we were so close as friends. We started off as just best friends. I mean, we talked about everything. It just seemed like God sent him to me to be what I really needed. So as time progressed, yes, the temptation was even greater, because
Right.
I'm like, I love this person. Okay, I could just give him all of me.
Uh-huh.
So we didn't have a long engagement. We got married in 6 months.
What?
Yeah, we got engaged.
So how did y'all meet?
We met in high school.
Okay, yeah, you did say that you
Yeah,
guys were in high school. So
yeah.
so were you guys still always around each other even after you graduated?
We were, and he even went off to school. He ended up going to Tuskegee,
Okay.
and he would come home and visit. I would go home and go to see him. So we still made time for that connection with one another. So throughout time, even though our lives kind of went a little bit of everywhere, because he went to school, and then it's so much. I feel like it's a lot to tell you, but even after I graduated from high school, I didn't go right off to college because, again, I felt that responsibility of taking care of my family.
Right.
So I got a job, I worked, I helped my family, paid bills, and it got old real quick. My sisters and my brother, they were growing up, they were going off to school, and I was looking like,
What am I gonna do?
yeah. And so I started off at a junior college. And while I was there, I met a professor and he just poured into me. He was like, there's so much more to you. You need to go study abroad. And I was like, study abroad? What is that? He gave me some information, was like, fill this out, filled it out. And it was to study abroad in Australia at a
Wow,
college called Bond University.
that
And
is dope.
I remember telling my parents, I'm applying for this program, to go study abroad. My dad was like, they ain't gonna approve you.
Uh-huh.
Nobody in my family had ever heard of studying abroad or, what I'm saying, my church, that it just wasn't something that a lot of people did,
So
in my community.
let me ask you this. Has anyone in your family attended college or wanted to further their education or anything?
Yes. My dad went back to school
Okay.
and got his degree. My mom is actually back in school now, getting
Okay.
a degree. Both of my sisters and my brother graduated with his bachelor's degree from Georgia Southern. My baby sister is finishing her degree in psychology now. She graduates in October. And my sister next to me, Shambly, she actually started doing opera. She started at Georgia State. She's now an opera singer. But she's finishing up her degree. So yeah, everybody is
It's
either
a
finishing their
blessing.
degree or they, did a U-turn and decided that they were going to go back to school and finish up.
So it was just they never heard of a Broadway major to
Mm-mm.
to go further.
My parents grew up in Peoria. So Peoria is
Okay.
very small. You didn't really have a lot of college graduates. My mom went to college on a track scholarship, actually,
Okay.
and she lost her track scholarship and then found out she was pregnant with me.
Okay.
So she never finished, so they were aware of education, but, my dad went into the military, so at their age, when they were growing up, it's like, okay, it's an option, yay or nay. But when it came to me, it wasn't like a severe push of, this is something you need to do. This is something you need to better your life. It was like, okay, whatever you want to do, you want to do.
Right.
So when it came to my siblings under me, it was like, go to school, go to school, go to school. Yes, go to school. I was so encouraging of them to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. You set an example
Yeah,
and you gave everybody a outlook like it can be done.
yeah,
If I
yeah,
can do it, I know all of y'all can because it runs in our bloodline.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So by the time when they sent me the ticket to get on the airplane to go to Australia, my parents were floored. Like they could not believe that I had gotten into the program, and it was like thousands of dollars. And I still to this day do not know how it was paid for. I honestly don't. Right. It was definitely.
Yes, that man above make things happen.
Yeah, so I was there for 5 months, and it was the most liberating experience because I felt like for once I didn't have to take care of anybody. I didn't have to see about anybody. I could get to know Stephanee. And it was like, wow, okay, how is this going to transfer when I go back home?
So
You
did you feel lost because you were so used to
Yeah,
having a set day, a set schedule of taking care of everyone to a point like, okay, I'm on my own now. What do
yeah.
I have to do? What can I do? So it confuses you for a little bit.
It does. And it's like, I love people, but change so drastic like that, being on the other side of the world, it was an adjustment. My roommate became my best friend, and we're still friends till this day
That is amazing.
because she just helped me. Whereas, like, her family, they were used to studying abroad. They were, their whole culture was different from mine. So there was some adjusting that I really had to do. I'm just like, I'm in this unknown place. I had never really ventured out and did anything. They had me at the bars. They just had me experiencing things that I had never experienced. And I'm like, Jesus is going to strike me.
It'd be to the point you be in the club sprinkling holy water on people. I mean, because you always been in the church.
Yes.
Like you going out, you experiencing a whole new life.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
probably had your holy oil.
And they knew me as the Christian girl. So it was like they knew I wasn't going to drink. They knew that I would help them get home, so it was just like, these people are crazy. They were playing beer pong in in our dorm. Like, it was just a whole new life that I had just not experienced.
Wow. But it's good that you experienced it though.
Yeah.
Just being around people like that instead of knowing just one thing.
Mhm.
So it's good that you ventured out and even took that opportunity and for
Right.
that and for your teacher to even see
Yeah.
talent in you to experience that.
Yeah. It was definitely life changing for me. I mean, just being over there, I'm like, man, I want to go back, because it almost felt like it was a dream,
Aw.
of just being over there. We got to, go to the Great Barrier Reef, just things that you never would ever think that you would be able to do. it was like God gave me this opportunity. And I really believe because I honored my parents and I really stayed to help them, even though that wasn't my responsibility.
Right.
But the fact that I did that, I believe God honored me with that experience. And so from that, it really taught me no matter what I do or how I may feel my life is behind time, that if I honor God first and I honor those that God has put in my life, He will always make up the time. He will always make up for the things that you may feel like you lost. It may not be in your timing, which is what we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
Because I was so insecure. Who knows where I would have been if I went right directly to college after high school? Who knows what I would have gotten myself involved in, what I would have introduced myself to because of that insecurity, trying to fill that void, And so I really believe our steps are ordered. They're ordered by God. And we may, buck up against the prick and feel like, God doesn't open this door. He doesn't allow this to happen. But He's like, if you only knew the stuff that I'm keeping you from, if you only knew the dangers that I'm detouring you from, He's like, your mouth would be wide open and you would be thanking me and not upset or angry because things aren't going your way in your time.
And when we rush Him, like if we rushing God, He gonna take even longer. He gonna take even longer because it's like, oh, so you don't got faith in me?
Yeah.
So this is what I'm about to do. I'm gonna send you through this other storm so you can figure it out. And then it's to a point God give us different steps in life for us to recognize things that go on in the real world.
Right.
So when we experience these things, it's like to a point we have to pay attention to the storms.
Right.
So if we're analyzing the storm that we're going through and we stay calm and we still stay faithful to Him and we still communicate with Him, He will get us through it.
Right.
But He's showing us things for us to get through it.
Right. Right.
And that's gonna be ongoing. Like we're always gonna have a storm. We're always gonna have experience. It's just us stepping up to different levels in life.
Right.
To be able to prosper. Like you won't be able to prosper if you don't trust Him.
Exactly.
So if you start trusting Him, you're gonna continue to keep going and prospering in life, and you're gonna watch yourself elevate.
Yes, and we have to know too that every experience that we have prepares us for other things. It gives us different tools. God drops little tools in us as we go through different storms to help prepare us for the big things that we have to deal with in life.
Yeah.
Just being out there on my own, I had to have my own relationship with God. I had to, continue to build that. I had to talk to Him. I still had to have that relationship with Him.
Yes.
It's the foundation of anything, because when life happens or when storms happen or trials happen in your life, if you don't have that foundation of Him and prayer, you're going to fall to the wayside. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to quit, And I really believe everything that has happened in my life prepared me for the moments of not, at first being able to have a child. It prepared me for, okay, now I have this disease that nobody in my family had ever heard of. They didn't know what it was like. They didn't understand it. We didn't even understand it, but having to live through that thing, even now, just sometimes my restrictions or different things like that. But people are like, are you sure that you have it? And I'm like, but I'm like, God's grace has carried me through. And it's those storms and writing, which is the gift that God gave me, helped me get through. And so one thing I really want people to get from just hearing me tonight is that your gifts that God gives you, they work on you first.
Yeah.
They deliver you first.
For you.
Yeah.
I don't think sometimes it doesn't register to people because they are so focused on other people's blessings and all the things that's given to them when they need to be focused on themselves and understanding how their blessings will come. But at the same time, it's like people is missing the conception of loving themselves, taking care of themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It's like it takes a long time for some people to even get to that point because you never know the things that they've been through in life.
And that was me.
Yeah.
There are still areas in which I'm learning that it's okay for self-care, because I was so used to giving all the time. I was so used to being there for everybody all the
Yes.
time.
Yes, and
So,
it's basically since you said since your dad become paralyzed, it's like that was your assignment for
mhm.
God. God gave you the assignment to take care of your family, your siblings, to take care of everybody. So then he transitioned you, was like, here, I'm gonna send you off away from your family. Now you get to know who Stephanie is
Yeah.
without them being surrounded by you so you can identify who you
Yes.
are. So I take it that's when you started identifying who you were.
Well, the interesting part is when I came back from my trip, I fell back into the same old serving people. I did. I did.
Well, that's within you, though. You know,
It is. But I
it's
think there's a level of,
boundaries.
yeah, and I still felt insecure. And I think I really struggled with who God created me to be. And that's an area that I feel sometimes can be gray, especially when you have a lot of responsibility when it comes to your family. And a lot of people depend on you and they look to you. You can find that your identity is in that.
Yes.
And your identity is not in who God created you to be. So
Mm-hmm.
then when those people are mad at you, or they feel like you're not doing things up to their standard,
Mm-hmm.
and their perception of you changes, you're like, oh, I'm nothing, because
Yeah.
all of your identity and who you are is engulfed in what people think.
And they feel like it's your obligation.
Right.
Like you're obligated to do this for me because this is what you always
Right.
been doing. So once you start switching up, it's like, wait a minute. Oh, so you acting funny. So it's not even that, but it's like it's just who we are and who we become for
Mhm.
people to be that way. So they're used to that routine.
Yeah.
So when
And
you
it's
start getting used to you, getting know who you are and everything else, it's like,
right.
okay, wait a minute. You start checking yourself. That's what you do.
Exactly. And I feel like I didn't really get that way until I got a little bit older. Like I feel like now I'm really in the place of accepting me,
Yes.
understanding me, understanding the things that I want, self-care. Now I'm like, okay, yeah, no. And I was like that even when I got married, with my husband. Okay, what do you want? How do you feel? Blah, 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 blah. It was like catered to him because all of my life, all I did was take care of everybody, you
Yeah.
know? And then it was like, I'm sorry, boo, I can't do this no more. And it was an adjustment because I had dimmed my voice.
Yeah.
I couldn't share how I felt to people, friends, family, just I don't want to cause any friction. I don't want to do this. I want to do that. And I was like, I'm the only one that's suffering in this.
Right. So let me ask you this. When you discovered that you had MS, did you still find yourself still taking care of people, even
Well,
though you need to be taken care of?
I felt like I had to, one, because I had this new baby. Okay. So it was like, okay, you've given me this task of dealing with this bodily illness. And then at the same time, God, you've given me this blessing. How do they work?
Mm-hmm.
And so my life was consumed really with my son. And it for quite a while was a big adjustment because my husband's a musician. So he traveled.
Travels a lot.
He
So
traveled. So it was just me and my son.
Yes, all over again.
Exactly.
So you discovering yourself all over again. You see how God keep working you? Yeah.
And it was hard, but I felt like God showed me his love through my son, because it was like, there would be times I wouldn't feel that great. My son would just say little things like, Mommy, I love you, or
Aw.
you're beautiful, or just different things. And I always felt like God used him to let me know, hey, I'm with you. I got you. Don't feel less of a mom because you can't do X, Y, and Z, because I went through that phase. Like, okay,
Mhm.
there might be times where I can't run in the yard with him, or there might be times where mommy's in the bed the whole day. How do I deal with that? Feeling like an insufficient mom, or there might be times where I can't cook dinner, or there might be times I can't do homework, or I can't be at basketball, or I can't be, at those things. And so again, you start feeling that insecurity because of what you can't do
Right.
and how you can't be there. But I have learned that love doesn't just isn't just shown in the things that I do for you. It's how I treat you. It's in those times where it's him and I, and we get to have those conversations, and we get to laugh. And those things he remembers. Those things are the things that stand out in his mind. Those,
Creating memories of love.
those are the milestones.
Yes, so love is so important.
Yes.
Some people think it's just like sometimes word can be used as just love can be used as just a word.
Right.
But when that action is there, you were given action and your son was given action. But with you not even noticing, you've always been given love. So you raised your son. He was in your womb. He was within you. So that's what was always there. So he
Yeah.
came out like you.
Yes. He's
And he
very
was
loving.
showing you a reflection of yourself.
Yeah. He is. And I just be like, oh Lord, please don't let nobody take advantage of my baby.
Oh, well, as long as you continue to communicate with him, he should be fine. But sometimes our experiences it makes us even stronger.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Oh, so
Yes.
what made you dedicate your book to your godfather?
Well, I lost my godfather last year in June, a few days after my son's birthday, unexpectedly.
Okay,
God
sorry to hear that.
God put him in my life when we moved here, actually, when I was about 6 years old. And he was my best friend. I mean, we could talk about anything. He was an elder at my church, and he poured so much into me. And some of the last conversations that we had, one thing that I loved about him most is as a creative, he just got me. He'll be like, I love your creativity. He was always just pouring into me. Always, I love you. I'm thinking about you. You're so beautiful. You're this. Just keep going, Stephanie. Keep pushing. Do what you need to do. God has so many people for you to touch. Your testimony is great. I know life is hard. I know things are rough, but keep going. He was my coach.
That
He
was
was, he
and
was,
some people not even blessed with the coach,
yeah,
and for you to experience that and take it in, it
yeah,
uplifted you in so many
yeah,
ways.
yeah. He was my best friend. I mean, we would talk about everything. He was one of those people that I could just be like, this is what happened. I mean, I could give him gory details. He was never like, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that? He never did that. He really just listened to
Mhm,
me. And so we had talked about the book many years ago.
mhm.
And he was like, write it, come on, do it. And he had written a book as well. So he was like, I can't wait to see it. Get writing. He was just pushing me to do what I had really set my heart on doing. And before I could show him the cover of the book, he passed away.
Aw,
And so he didn't get a chance to see it. I'm trying not to
he,
cry.
he see it. He
And
see
so
it.
I felt necessary to, it was only necessary to dedicate the book to him. He was my heart, and I miss him so much. And I always am like, why did you leave me? You know?
Yeah.
But I know that God, at this juncture in my life, he's like, okay, I'm giving you so many tools, Stephanee. Just throughout the years, all the conversations we had, all the things he told me, I can just hear him sometimes like, I have given
Yes.
you enough. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be good. You know, just keep going. Don't forget the basics. Don't forget your foundation. And so I had to dedicate the book to him.
Wow. So what made you come up with the name Perfect Imperfections 31-Day Women's Devotional?
So, Perfect Imperfections, the name actually came to me one day just random. And at first, I thought maybe it was something that I was going to do like an event with and just have women chat and talk about life and different things like that. I had even talked to my best friend about the name, and she was like, "That's a really good name." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know why I got it, but I was just like, yeah, we'll figure it out." And I kind of tabled it.
Uh-huh.
And so, like I said, in 2018, I was just going through, I had another flare, which means that they found additional lesions on my brain and on my spine. And I just felt like I was spiraling out of control, mentally, emotionally. My diagnosis affected my family, it affected my marriage. It
Yeah.
just seemed like my life was just upside down.
Oh,
And I just felt like I was just in a deep, dark place. And I knew I was. I just was in a deep, dark place.
right.
And I ended up going to visit my aunt, as I was saying earlier. And she was like, "Stephanee, you just need to write. You need to write." She was like, "Use your own gift on you. Write through this experience, how you're feeling, what's going through your mind, everything." And at first, it was so hard because I felt like I was angry with God
Yeah.
because
Like,
I
why me? Why am I?
yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, I've been through enough. you know,
You
I
know, it's so crazy. We ain't never been through. It's like we never been through enough. It's like we gonna always experience something to help us grow.
yes.
And look, you done grew a book.
Yeah, I was like, I've done my part of going through. you know,
Yeah.
I've done my Christian duty. You know, I
Yeah.
felt like and I'm being honest, I felt like I had been through enough. So for me, just to be back there again, having to deal with this disease, dealing with new symptoms, my body was just going crazy. I was depressed. I was just all over the place. So it took me a while to just be able to write out how I was feeling. And the devotional is me, my own process
Right.
to finding God in the midst of my situations in my life that were deemed as imperfect, and I wrote from my own place. There were different scriptures that God had given me that I would read, and he would just begin to expound different things with me. I talk about dealing with competition with other women. I have great friends, female friends in my life that are unbelievably smart and intelligent women. And there were a lot of times I compared myself to them, and I'm
You
not good enough.
can't do that.
Yeah, or they're doing something,
But
so I
but
need.
with situations in that sometimes if you see that your friends are doing good and they speaking life into you, motivating you, doing all that, you're in the right circle.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have been in another circle where it held you back and have the negative vibes and everything. So for you to be surrounded by friends that were doing that, that was another push for you to
It
keep
was.
pushing forward.
It was, and it was a push to change my perspective. Nobody's competing with me, nor should I be competing with anybody else. God has given me my own race,
Right.
own lane. And he's like, if you operate in that, there are so many things that I can do for you, so many blessings that I have for you, but I can't bless a copycat. I
Right.
can't bless somebody that's trying to imitate somebody else. You have to be an original. And I had to get
Mhm.
comfortable with being an original. Because again, it goes back to that insecurity of I'm not good enough. What I have isn't enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. All I could do was tally up the things that I wasn't.
He wasn't. Yeah.
God was like, look at what I created. One of the devotionals is called The Greatest Compliment. And it talks about how we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And that one for me was a life-changing one because, God dealt with me about how, we get hit on all the time. We go places and, we see different people, they'll say different things. Hey, girl, just crazy stuff. Then we trying to say taglines. You just be like, okay, whatever, pick up lines. And, we'll even flatter them by saying thank you. But when it comes to God and the things that he tells us that we're beautiful. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We're one of a kind. We're royalty, all those things. We talk bad about those. We don't receive those.
Right.
And God was like, Stephanee, that's the greatest compliment that you will ever get. You are my workmanship. I crafted you. I put everything in you, your eyes, your hair, your skin tone, your personality, your character. I put all those things in there. Stop rejecting my compliment.
Mm-hmm. For being hard-headed.
Yeah. Can I give a thank you?
Seriously. And what's so crazy? It's just the fact of so many of us are so used to, we block God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like instead of opening the doors, I blocked him on so many occasions. And I just kept beating myself up. It was abusing myself. And it's like once I let him all the way in fully and open the doors, it's like, dang. Like, okay, I see you now. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I will not do it again.
Exactly. You're like, I see what I was missing. Okay, you know what you're doing, God. You know what you're doing. He's like, are you kidding?
Yes. So one of the chapters that I noticed was your day 14. It was embrace your process. What made you choose Mark chapter 8, verse 34? Yeah, girl.
My process was long and hard.
Yeah, I know. And like, that's a lot. That's like a rebirth.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm gonna let you show me. So what made you choose that? Like from you going through so much, and that's day 14.
Exactly.
We got some days left. You did a total of 31.
It's crazy because so much of I feel like my relationship with God is very candid. I am very just like I'm talking to you is how I talk to God.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm sure he'd be like, that girl crazy. But I just be like, look, you created me.
Right. This what you get.
Yes. And it was challenging for me just trying to adjust to my process that God created for me. Mm-hmm. And I felt like there was no other scripture that really spoke to where I was.
Yeah, because that was deep.
And I was like, and it's funny because sometimes I can even go back and read my own devotional and be like, man, Lord.
Uh-huh.
It speaks.
You was coming through. And it's so crazy. Like, as I was like reading and analyzing, I'm like, I wonder if she know how powerful she was at this very moment. Because it's like from reading it, it's like you knew that I knew you were going through something at that moment. Mm-hmm. And God was just giving you, he was operating that pen for you.
Yes.
Like you was writing some things and you just like you didn't care no more.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Keep writing it, but as you continue to read your own book over and over again, you're gonna find a lot of yourself in here. Because
Yes.
I found a lot of you in there. And I don't even know you like that. But
Yeah.
like this speaks volume. That's why I was telling you, like, we need to go live with this. Yes. And this is really good. Like,
Thank
y'all need
you.
to get her book for real.
Please go to my website.
Yes. So another thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is day 21. Don't worry, be happy.
Uh,
Yeah. What made you start praying? You talking about some red trash, like out the blue.
well, the thing is I felt like so many times in my life, I worried. Like when it came to my son, even with carrying him, they didn't think I was going to be able to carry him. They didn't think he was going to live because of my diagnosis. Being worried about when I did find out that he's like legit growing, is he going to have some type of deformity? Because I was on so many heavy medications
Hmm.
during my pregnancy. How am I going to provide for this child?
Right.
My husband traveling. Uh, we were having just financial issues. Our house was getting ready to go into foreclosure. Like it was so much to worry about. And I just felt like God was like, why are you worried? Like, if you know that you are my child, why would you worry? Like, I take care of the birds. I take care
Hmm.
of the birds. I make sure that they have worms to eat. I make sure that somebody runs over a bird or a dog or a deer so that the ravens have something to eat. Like, God is so intricate in taking care of nature. What makes us think that He won't take care of us?
Yeah.
Like, why are you worried? Be happy. Don't worry, be happy. And it's like in those moments, okay, Lord, forgive me. I,
Hmm.
I'm, I'm sorry for worrying because you're telling me not to worry and to trust you. So let's start there. Forgive me, Lord. And
Did
then
you so did tell her to forgive you?
yeah,
You
because when we worry, that means we're not trusting.
yeah.
He's like, what's your deal? Why don't you trust me? How many times have I come through for you?
Hmm.
So he's like, you need to chill out.
Hmm.
Chill out and just
Put
be
your
happy.
tail back.
Yeah. He's like, get excited about how I'm going to make the way, how I'm going to move for you. Like, start a praise in your heart. Rejoice. Don't get down and depressed. Know that I'm going to take care of you because you're mine. We wouldn't leave our own children on the side of the road. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We wouldn't abandon our own. How much more is it with our Heavenly Father? So he's like, don't worry, be happy.
Yep. So on day 31, ballet.
Yes.
So what got you to that point?
Uh, I felt like I had always trying to find other ways in which I could benefit or get to my destinations and work things out on my own.
Mhm.
There were a lot of times I was self sufficient. And in my self sufficiency, in the end, I would find out that that wasn't the route that I was supposed to go. And I should have just went the way that God told me to go. And we have to let Him steer our lives. We
Mhm.
have to let Him be in control. Because when we get in ourselves and we do things our way, we come up against unnecessary things and go through unnecessary things, all because we trying to find a cheap way out or another way out outside of doing things God's way.
But let me tell you something real quick about your 31 days. Do you know out of all your 31 days of doing this, you rejected God every time?
Yeah,
You reject them and then you say, forgive me, I'm sorry.
yeah. But
Like,
it just shows you how we think.
yes, it really do. And you be like, dang, I'm sorry. I apologize. I was just going through some things at that time. Like, can you forgive me?
I told my best friend, because she's the one who helped me to edit the book. And it was funny because I told her that I said, I feel like I'm asking God to forgive me in every prayer. And she made it so clear. She was like, but Stephanee, it shows us how much we're so self sufficient, how
Yeah.
much we try to do things our own way. And she was like, it's almost in our natural human nature to be like, oh, I'm so sorry after the fact that we realized we shouldn't have did that.
She's like, I
Yeah.
apologize.
I'd be like, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm trying to
Yeah.
do right. I'm trying to do right.
It was okay, okay, you win, you
Yeah.
win.
But it's true. Just, and I wanted to be transparent because I felt that a lot of times people aren't. And with
Yeah.
life and society, it's shown us women, we have to be a certain way. We got to be strong. You got to take care of your family. You got to get that bag. You know, you got to do all these things.
You know, it's a lot of things of perception that um we go by, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of parts of social media as
Yeah.
well. But like the reason being for my platform is to expose your truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes people think, oh, you be looking good on Instagram, and you be looking good, girl. You be fly, you doing big things and all this. You can still do big things, but you still have those struggling moments, the moments of that storm of you trying to get through something and everything. But at the same time, no one isn't transparent
Yeah.
about the things that they had to go through,
Yeah.
been through,
Yeah.
and how they got to that point. You know,
Exactly.
and then in some it doesn't register in a lot of people's minds. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I've been through some things. Let me tell you about something. You know, so
Yeah.
and that's why I'm so happy that my mom has blessed me with a platform like this because
Mm-hmm.
it's like she always said, you have to say the truth. You
Mm-hmm.
have to stay true to yourself. If you ain't true to yourself, who you true to?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And then two, we need one another in the female community. We
Yes.
need a place where we can share and be honest and get healing. We
Yes.
need that because when we're healed, our relationships with others, our children, our spouses, our friends, they can be so much better because we are walking in healing. We're dealing with things. And then it feels good sometimes to know that another woman has dealt with some of the same issues,
Right.
because you do look at social media and be like, man, they are just so perfect, or they don't have any problems. And you be
Mm-hmm.
like, man, if you
Girl,
only
you lying out. What you Girl, what are you talking about?
true.
Let me tell you something. You know, it
So
gets to
true.
that point. And another thing is, what kind of makes it hard for a lot of women also to be transparent is the fact of you be transparent to a woman, but yet they neglect you. They treat you like crap. They tell another woman and laugh about you
Yep.
and everything. So it creates these boundaries
Right.
in a wall up because it's like if she did this to me, just imagine what she about to do.
Exactly.
No, but
Exactly.
what I've learned is matching energy.
Mm.
So you have to grow within yourself and
Mm-hmm.
you change a lot of ways. We still have habits. So
Mm-hmm.
we continue to have those habits and those healing levels that we have, we start to match those levels of energy of women that's on your level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you gotta keep growing. You gotta leave some people down there to a point
Yeah.
like your energy not matching mine right now. You know, my energy is a different level for me to grow. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people's growth is still in a high school growth.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, like baby, you gotta come up, honey.
It's true, and I appreciate having a solid group of women that are in my life
Yes.
that are transparent, that are honest, they're open with me. When I tell them stuff, they be like, girl, yes, and they share. And I really wanted to create that with my book. I was like, if let me be honest first, let me be transparent first with
Yeah.
another woman, and maybe it'll encourage her to say, you know what, I'm dealing in that area. I'm dealing with unforgiveness. I'm dealing with jealousy or competition. I'm dealing with lack of faith in my relationship with God. I'm dealing with self-esteem issues. I'm dealing with this, that, and the other. I felt like if I can just be honest, if I can just be transparent, if I can put my testimony out there and
Mhm.
share with others, maybe someone else will be encouraged to do the same and they can be
Yeah.
free. I felt such a freedom. I had a lot of fear at first before I put the book out because I didn't know what people were going to say. I didn't know how they were going to respond.
Girl.
Just that people please, how to try
Yes.
and come back up in your life.
Yes.
And it's like now I just be like, yes, out there, I just be on my lives just talking,
Yeah. And
just sharing.
you know what's so crazy that you say that? My huge fear is cameras.
Mhm.
And me communicating and sharing things and all that nature. So it's like I'm kind of forcing and pushing
Yeah,
myself to a point like, okay, because I used to think like, dang, if I go live, this person gonna have something to say. They gonna have something to say.
yeah,
And now it's just like, I don't care what you gotta say. You need to
yeah,
get yourself together. Don't worry about me. Worry about you. So that's my mindset now. So it's like I'm more free. So
yeah,
that's where you at now too.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I don't care. You
Yes, yes. It
yeah.
was funny because I had did a live, I think Saturday afternoon, and I was just talking to people about, just dealing with insecurity and, comparing myself, how I just did different things. And they were just like, you're so transparent. I was like, I've gotten to the place where I'm just like, look, I gotta be real to free me, but my hope is that in my authenticity, in me being me, the person who God created me to be, that it'll push you to be you, who God has created you to be. I'm
Right.
like, that's why I feel like, my life has been, God has given me a lot of different experiences, a lot of different storms, trials that I have been through. And so being able to relate to people and in certain situations from, dealing with pregnancy issues or, whatever the case may be, I'm like, God, you didn't allow me to go through it and give me these situations just for me to be quiet. Like we got to talk about these things so that we can bring healing to women, to our Christian community, bringing in transparency in our Christian community. Let's talk about mental health. Let's talk about spiritual health. Let's talk about physical health. All those things. Let's talk about those things. Let's not just be in our little bubbles and we're dying.
Holding it up because it messes us up
It
physically.
does.
I had to check myself recently, and I'm talking about very recent because I found my blood pressure just being so high. And I was on blood pressure medication and all that. I'm like, I need to get myself together.
Yeah.
It's like it's either I'm gonna go take myself out or go off of natural cause. So
That's
it's like
right.
I'd rather work on myself and get things together so that I can be all right. And sometimes a lot of times I don't really like to contradict myself either because
Mm.
I'm telling a woman one thing, like, wait a minute, I
And
need
you doing something else.
yeah, doing something else. So it's like it's a lot of times I gotta check myself, like, wait a minute, girl, you better get it together.
I'm the same way. But I feel like it's good. That's the purpose. Getting to a place
Yeah.
where we can check ourselves and be like, you're off. You're off today. There's many times I'll be like, y'all, I'm not having a good day. I'm going in the room and I'm closing the door. Do not follow me. or I'm going for a drive. I will go walk around Target, just to clear.
Yeah, just to clear your mind.
Yes, yes.
Like it's just needed. So how are you feeling now? Like how are you like currently? How's your health and everything?
My health is good. I have my days. It's an invisible disease. You can't, see on the outside that I'm dealing with anything.
Hmm.
But I have my days. I have the days where I'm severely fatigued. I have the days where I'm in the bed. I have the days where sometimes my left side doesn't work. Sometimes my right side doesn't work.
Okay.
I've had times where my speech was slurred. Um, I've had times where my vision may be a little off. But it's crazy because it's like when I have things to do, because I'm very active in my church, do praise and
Okay.
worship, I'm over drama ministry. I do a little bit of everything. It's like God always gives me the grace to do the things that He's called me to do.
And it's good that you're active. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes when we gain a condition or something, it could be anything. It don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to be a disease. We paralyze ourselves.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's good that you're not paralyzing yourself to not move forward in your life and you just find strength somewhere for you to get up and keep going.
Yeah. And
Very inspiring.
it was hard at first because I was just depressed, but I was like, I'm not going to allow this to define me. And
Yeah.
that's one that I feel like is another area that I'm really passionate about is women who deal with, different diseases, lupus, or I have a couple friends, I have a really good friend who deals with lupus and myself. And then I have another friend who deals with another invisible disease, where sometimes she can't walk or, just different things. And my heart goes out to women like that because sometimes
Yeah.
due to our diagnosis, we can define our purpose, and that's not so.
Yeah.
There are things that I must do on my end. Exercise when I can, eat right. There are things that I can do to help with the fatigue and, the different things
Yeah.
like that. Do my part.
Taking
And
care of
God will do
you.
the rest. Yeah, take care of you, and God will do the rest. And I'm learning. I've learned my body. I've learned when I've got to be like, okay, I got to sit down. Okay, I'm going to bed. Or, nope, can't go to that. I love you, but I will not be at your event. There's times we've had to miss things because I just can't.
What it is.
Yeah, so you learn your boundaries and you learn that it's okay to say no.
That's good. I'm proud of you. No is the key.
It is.
It's the key. I've been there. I'm getting there. I'm there.
Yes.
What's the key? It's time for you.
It's
It's
the best word ever. No.
so. What is something inspiring and encouraging for women that are watching right now? What is something encouraging that you could tell them?
I would tell them to find themselves. And
Yes,
the only way you can find you is one, you have to know who God has created you to be. And you have to spend time with you and love you.
yes,
That's so important.
yes.
Self love, self care. There's a scripture, I call it the love scripture, and I believe it's 1 Corinthians 13. Love is kind, love is patient, love is kind, it doesn't boast, it doesn't envy, it doesn't keep record of wrongs. And I remember one day God dealing with me about that scripture, and He was like, do you love yourself? Do you keep your records of all the things that you do wrong? Are you kind to yourself with your words? And I was like, oh,
Where you
you
get
know,
that from?
he's like, is there envy in you? Are you holding things against yourself that you've done? And I was like, okay.
Uh-huh.
I had to do a self check.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got checked.
Okay, God, okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There I was
yeah.
again saying, and I was like, I love me. I do love me. I love me. And He took me to that scripture, and I was like, oh, I don't love me. I'm not patient with me. I'm not kind with my words to myself. Quick to say, oh, why did I do that? So stupid. I should
Mm-hmm.
have did that. I don't love me. I not spending time with myself, not doing things that nurture me, not being patient. Keeping all the records of everything that I've done wrong. Oh man, I just failed as a mother. I should have did this over this. I just failed as a wife. I should have did that over that. I should have been a better friend. I didn't do this. He's like, why? What are you doing?
It's always something.
Yes. He's like, you have to love you. You got to love you. And he's like, when you learn to love you, how you love others will be more effective. It will be more whole because you learn how to love yourself. Always love your neighbor as yourself. How can I truly love my neighbor if I don't really love myself? I can't. And so besides making sure that you have that foundation with Jesus Christ for your relationship with him, loving yourself is the other biggest thing that you have got to do, because we cannot effectively love our neighbors. And be honest. I felt like this was just, the book was me being honest with me, looking at all of my flaws. And being like, I'm jacked up. I ain't pretty. My heart got unforgiveness in it. I don't think the right thoughts all the time. I don't do the right things. I deal with jealousy. I deal with hurt. I deal with all these different things. And being honest. Once you can be honest, God can help you. He can help you see, okay, you're honest in this area, so you need to start doing this. Okay, yes, this area is exposed. You need to work on this. Okay, now you talked about this area, so you can turn and start doing this differently. Honesty is so important. And so I'm just learning every day, and I haven't arrived. This is an everyday walk for me. I feel like I live out
forever walk.
Yes, I live out the devotional every day. I walk that walk every day, and constantly in reflection and asking God, Lord, forgive me. I didn't put you first. Lord, forgive me. I'm still got something in my heart towards this one that hurt me. Lord, forgive. This is a constant thing for me. And I feel like once you can get to the place of honesty, once you can really begin to love yourself, and once you can begin to change your ways, man, there's nothing that you can't do, and there's nothing that God won't do for you. So it's about making the commitment to being authentic. And you have to make that commitment every single day, every minute, every hour,
all day, every day.
Every second. You have to make it
24-hour job.
Yes. So I just encourage every woman to make that commitment. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be ugly. It's not going to be a cakewalk. But when you do it, you will be so much more effective. You'll be a better person, but then you'll be better for others. Your relationship with God will be stronger. There's so many benefits to just being authentic.
Yes, definitely. Don't throw in the towel.
Yeah. Don't throw you waving the flag. I give up.
It's like you be like, I'm going. Dude, don't give up. I'm telling you, you better listen.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. This interview was amazing. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Yes. You get it together, girl. Yes. So you guys see at the bottom, it says purchase your book today, and that's her website. What's your Instagram name?
It is Stephanee R. Pinkney. And you'll see my big old smile.
So her name is on everything, y'all.
Yes, it's my name.
Represent, okay?
Yes.
Then thanks, y'all, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Yes.